So again, with those words, angels, guides, destiny, our higher selves, magic with a K, serendipity. Like so many things in our language, there are just a lot of words to describe one thing. This thing that hangs around us, that some of us believe helps move us along when we need it. Now, as Unitarian Universalists, we are welcome to believe or put stock in any or all of these, or none. Our fourth principle calls us to affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. So I want to first affirm that, your freedom to believe how you believe, and that we are all free to believe or not believe. But second, I want to also invite you into a responsible space of considering the possibilities. Our ministry theme this month is mystery. And whether you think there are angels or spirit guides or magic or something else or nothing else, this notion certainly falls under the heading of mystery. And as per my usual, if you haven't seen it happen yet, I don't generally talk about words without exploring the origin and meaning. The word mystery is influenced by the Latin mysterium and the Old French mystère. I don't have a French accent. The French origins point to a hidden meaning, it's called, but it is also often referred to as divine revelation or hidden spiritual significance. The Latin came from the same root as ministrium, centering around the craft or the art of service or ministry. So no matter what we call these things, spirit, fate, guidance, it does seem to have its place in religion and in our worship. I mentioned earlier that in Children's Faith Engagement this month, we've been referring to the Great Mystery. I talked to them about the things that are larger than ourselves, or perhaps even a higher form of ourselves. And in the Time for All Ages today, this was seen through the story of a Hindu legend. In fact, there are angels and the divine in one form or another in almost all of the world's religions. Perhaps we're most familiar with the idea of angels in the Christian tradition, the ones with wings and harps. And certainly Christianity offers the existence of a higher power. But let me share a little more about the Hindu ideas around this. The Hindu guardian angel is more like a type of God, and it combines two different spiritual forces, the Devas and the Atman. Devas are deities who help guard people, pray for people, promote spiritual growth of people and other living beings like animals and plants. Devas give us the living things that watch over, and they watch over with spiritual energy, which inspires and motivates a person, animal, or plant. They literally mean shining ones, and they are thought to inhabit the higher astral plane. Now, the other spiritual force, the Atman, is a divine spark inside each person that acts as a higher self to direct people toward higher levels of consciousness. The Atman, which represents the part of each person that lives forever despite changing through different reincarnations like a soul in other religions. This Atman urges people to move toward enlightenment and understand the universe and to become one with it in unity. That sounds pretty familiar, right? Well, then there's the concept of angels in the practice of Islam. There are guardian angels, this is a little darker, Islam can be a little darker sometimes. There are guardian angels responsible for protecting the believer throughout his or her life or their life, at home or traveling, asleep or awake. Others of the guardian angels are responsible for recording the deeds of man, good and bad, kind of like Santa checking his list. These are known as honorable scribes. There are also angels responsible for, get this, breathing the soul into a fetus and writing down its provisions, lifespan, actions, and whether it will be wretched or happy. Some angels in this tradition are roamers. They travel around the world in search of gatherings where God is remembered. You may not be all that comfortable with the word God, so replace it with something else, but I just like the notion of angels traveling around the world in search of gatherings where God or the holy is remembered. I feel that in this room today. In Native American traditions, there is an invisible world we cannot see, one that is full of energy, spirits, and ancestors and answers. Native Americans seek to become one in the spirit place so they might get those answers. Native Americans might refer to them as ancestors, but regardless of the name, it is the world we cannot see, and it is full of life. Angels, spirits, ancestors, something guiding us that we cannot see. It may be easy to dismiss this notion. I mean, we're UUs, right? We're bred not to believe things that we can't see or touch. And here's this thing that by its definition in all of the world's traditions, among all of the faith sources that we draw from, is by its nature invisible to the eye and out of reach of our hands. What are we to do with that? In the first reading today, I just want to say Pink Fairy 5 again. The poet wrote, reminiscent of knowing without knowing how you know, and illuminating a part of the brain some do not understand. Darn that spirituality, causing us to get beyond what we can see, and dare I say it, calling us to the place where we can feel. Dun, dun, dun! We could just blow it off, ignore it, and frankly, I believe it's going to be there whether you pay attention to it or not. But let's just say for a moment that we did pay attention. And not in a cynical way, but in more of a, I'm going to make up a word here because I like doing that, in a pronoic sort of way. Is anyone familiar with pronoia? Well, it was coined by John Perry Barlow, and it is defined as, love this, the opposite of paranoia, or the suspicion that the universe is conspiring on your behalf. So humor me, and we'll let in and call in a little bit of this pronoia. What if there are things at play that are conspiring to move you along and guide your way? I want to tell you a story about how I found my marbles. About 12 years ago, I was walking outside in a parking lot and something caught my eye. I looked down and there was this clear marble, and I started to walk away, but then something inside said, that is for you. I didn't know why, didn't know for what, but I went back, picked up the marble, and put it in my pocket. A few weeks later, I was leaving a grocery store with my husband, and as we put the empty cart back, again, I looked down, and there was a clear marble. Not long after that, I came back to my office, my church office, after lunch. No one had been in my office while I was gone. The office had been locked. It was not there when I left. And as I went in, I stepped on something and looked down, and can you guess what it was? A clear marble. This continued on, and I have collected around 15 of these over the last 12 years. They were in different places, under different circumstances, and almost always clear. I'll show you a few of them.